Pop quiz. You are 3 minutes late to a meeting with your boss. Your heart starts pounding, your palms are sweaty, and somewhere in the back of your brain, there is this voice screaming, "He is gonna kill me." Now, is your boss actually gonna kill you? No, obviously not. But your nervous system doesn't know that. Because a part of your brain is still running software from 200,000 years ago. And to that ancient operating system, the disapproval of a person with power over your survival, that's a life-threatening event. So you're going to get the same spike of cortisol, the same constriction in your chest, that same survival cascade, and that's instinct. And then there's this other thing, a quiet knowing, like a compass needle settling. It's not loud, it's not urgent, it's just clear. That's intuition. They're both data, they're both real, but most people can't tell them apart. And that confusion, it's costing you big in your decisions, in your relationships, and in your revenue. So today we are going to fix that. I'm going to share with you the science behind both signals, why your brain is literally wired for conformity, and I'm going to give you 3 questions that will tell you instantly which voice is talking. So let's get into it. Here is something most people don't realize. You are way more intuitive than you think. I can guarantee that. I know that you've been getting signals. You've been sensing when something's off. The problem is that you're confusing instinct with intuition. And that confusion, it's costing you. Especially when those 2 data streams are in opposition. That is prime soil to seed self-doubt. See, you're receiving both sets of data simultaneously. Data stream number 1 is your instinct. That's your survival brain plus your ego. So here's the thing about your brain that nobody tells you. The oldest part, the part that handles that fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, it evolved for one job and one job only, to keep you alive. And that's it. Not to help you thrive, not to make good business decisions, just don't die. And it's really good at its job. And it's the reason you flinch when someone throws a ball at your face before you even think about it. It's great. Here's the problem. It's also the part that fires when your boss sends a vague email at 4 p.m. on Friday. Same system, same chemicals, same "oh no, we're gonna die" energy. Except we're not gonna die. You're just gonna have maybe an awkward Monday meeting. Your survival brain says, stay safe, don't risk it, stick to what you know. And your ego will say, what will people think? This isn't who I am. I need to prove myself. And that energy, that instinct, it feels like a contraction, like a tightness. And it can also feel like a relief when you avoid the discomfort of moving outside of your comfort zone. Now, data stream number 2, that's intuition. That's your inner wisdom, your deeper knowing, that part of you that sees beyond that perceived immediate threat and is able to see the bigger picture. And this is the voice that expands your options, that shows you possibilities that your survival brain can't see. Now, this voice, it's quieter. It's never in a rush. It doesn't scream. It just knows. And here's the key difference. Intuition never feels frantic. It might be uncomfortable. It might ask you to do something hard, but it's never coming from a place of panic. Okay, so I need to tell you something that genuinely blew my mind when I first learned about it. So Alexander Graham Bell filed his patent for the telephone on February 14th, 1876, on Valentine's Day. And Alicia Gray, a completely unconnected inventor, showed up at the same patent office on the same day with a patent for the same device. Isn't that wild? Same day, same building, 0 connection. And I know, I thought it too. You're thinking, okay, whatever, weird coincidence. Except it keeps happening. So Charles Darwin spent 20 years developing his theory of evolution. 20 years. And then Alfred Russel Wallace, working on the other side of the world with absolutely zero connection to Darwin, this is before the internet, independently arrived to the same theory, same conclusion, different continent. It gets weirder. In 1922, two sociologists went looking for these cases. They found 148 documented cases of major simultaneous inventions. Same breakthrough, different people, zero contact. And at some point, you have to stop calling that a coincidence and start asking what else might be going on. There's a quote that I love from a mathematician called Farkas Bollier. He said, "When the time is ripe for certain things, these things appear in different places in the manner of violets coming to light in early spring." That's intuition operating at a collective level. Something beyond your personal experience, beyond your survival programming. But here's what works against it, is that conformity, and it's wired in, and it's not a choice until you make it one. So for your ancestors, standing out from the group literally got you killed. Expelled from the tribe meant death. So your brain developed powerful circuitry to keep you in line, agreeing with the group, following the herd, not rocking the boat. And that programming, it's still running. Every time you water down your message because you might be too much, every time you price match to your market instead to your value, every time you second guess a bold move because what will people think? That's not strategy. That's your survival brain running a conformity program that you never signed up for. I mean, think about it. How safe is a zebra in the wild when it doesn't stick with the pack? Let me show you how this plays out in real life because it's not always obvious. So the first example I want to give you is what I call the revenue ceiling. So I worked with a consultant, brilliant woman, dedicated, years of experience, deep expertise. She had been stuck at the same revenue level for 3 years. She kept tweaking her offers, changing her pricing, launching new programs, and nothing moved. But when we dug in, here's what we found. Every time she was about to raise her rates or to go after that bigger client, her survival brain would fire. Who are you to charge that? They'll think you're greedy. What if they say no? She thought she was being strategic, cautious, and smart to make sure that she was really being in integrity. But what was really happening is she was being held hostage by her in-house bodyguard. So how this also shows up is what I call the parenting override. So let's say your kid comes to you and they share that they want to quit the thing that looks so good on their college application. Every instinct in you fires. No, they need this. They'll regret it. But underneath that reaction is a quieter voice. They're telling you something. Listen. You override it. You give the motivational speech. And then 6 months later, your kid is anxious, checked out. And then the relationship between you has this wall that's never been there before. That's the Bodyguard running a good parent program based on what your parents did, not what your kid actually needs. So this next example is what I call the dimming. It is the most insidious version. It's like that slow fade. So you start a business, you're on fire. You've got a message, you've got a vision, something that makes you come alive. And then you start looking at what everyone else is doing. You tone it down, you make it more professional, you strip out the parts that are uniquely you because they might be too much. And then 2 years later, you're running a business that looks like everyone else's. I mean, it's fine, it's paying the bills, but it doesn't light you up anymore like it did in the beginning. And that's not evolution. That's your inner bodyguard slowly dimming your light until you match the crowd, right? That's that conformity. It's creating that revenue ceiling, that parenting override, and that slow dimming. So 3 different arenas, same mechanism. Your survival brain is making decisions your wisdom would have never signed off on. So how do you tell the difference? That's next. 3 questions. That's all you're going to need. And once you have them, I promise you'll use them every single time. So question 1, is this contracting me or expanding me? Because your instincts, they contract. They tighten your chest, your jaw, your fists. They narrow your vision, and your world gets smaller. Everything feels urgent. Decide now, act now, fix this now. And that frantic energy, it gives you tunnel vision, but that's contraction talking. That's your instinct. Now, intuition may be uncomfortable. I want to be clear about that, but it opens something. Even when it's saying, no, not this, there's a spaciousness to it, a groundedness. Like your feet just got a little heavier on the earth. The key thing is it's never in a rush. And there's this trust in the timing. Try it right now. Think of a decision that you're sitting with. Notice, does your body tighten and brace, or does it settle and root? So question 2, is this about the past or the future? So instinct is a historian. It's running pattern matching against every bad thing that has ever happened to you. So the last time you trusted someone like this, they burned you. Remember when you took that risk and it blew up? It's referencing old data to keep you from repeating old pain. It wants to keep playing the same movie though. Your intuition is a navigator. It's pulling you towards something that hasn't happened yet, something that your past can't predict because it's new. It's outside of your comfort zone. And if the voice is referencing old evidence, that's the bodyguard. If it's pointing at something that doesn't have a track record yet, that's the navigator. Question 3 is, does this feel like I'm crouching or standing taller? And that one's gold because you can feel it in your body. You can notice it in your posture. This is really about understanding it beyond the concept. Instinct will drive you towards crouching or ducking. And avoidance can dress up as wisdom. It'll be like, phew, I dodged that. You exhale, you'll have that relief. But it's the exhale of escape, not peace. Intuition will feel like standing taller, even when the decision is hard, even when it's uncomfortable. There's that quiet, yes, this is right. Your spine will strengthen. And then you take a deep breath in. It's not a sigh of relief. So if you're making decisions and it feels like relief, check in. Relief is the bodyguard celebrating a successful escape. Resonance is the navigator confirming your course forward. 3 questions. Are you contracting or expanding? Are you replaying the past or planning the future? Are you crouching or standing taller? Screenshot those, sticky note them, because the next time you are in a high stakes moment, and you will be, those 3 questions will cut through the noise in about 30 seconds. I guarantee it. Now, here's the nuance, because I don't want you walking away with this episode thinking your instinct is the bad guy. It's not. Your bodyguard has saved your life, probably literally. It's the part of you that slammed on the brakes before your conscious mind registered that kid running in the road. It's that part that made you leave that party when something felt off. It's real and it is valuable. The goal here isn't to silence your instinct. It's to stop letting it run the boardroom. And your bodyguard belongs at the door, not at the strategy table. Sometimes the aligned choice is to stay safe. Sometimes the wise move is to say no. Now, intuition doesn't always push you forward. Sometimes it protects you from what's not aligned. The difference is when instinct says no, it feels like avoidance. When intuition says no, it feels like integrity. So let's practice this right now. Think of a decision that you're facing right now, right? Option A, option B. Notice what your body does when you think about option A. Does your chest tighten? Are you holding your breath? If so, that's instinct. Or do you feel more grounded, like you can breathe deeper? That's intuition. Here's the fun part, is that your body knows before your mind catches up to you. And this, knowing which voice is talking, is the very foundation everything else is built on. Your values, your energy, your strategy, none of it holds if you're building on the wrong signal. So the question isn't, do you have intuition? The question you should be asking is, will you trust it enough to let it lead? So let me be real with you for a second. You just got a framework, 3 questions, science that you can actually point to when someone tells you, well, that's just woo-woo. And most people, they're going to nod along and think, that was a great episode, and go right back to following the Bodyguard. Well, not because you're weak, because it's familiar, and I get it. Because the Bodyguard has been running the show for so long that its voice sounds like your voice. And that's the part that you can't always see from inside your own pattern. That's what my clarity calls are for. 30 minutes, you and me, we find the pattern, we name it, and then you walk away knowing exactly what's been sitting at the strategy table that doesn't belong there. So you'll find the link for the clarity calls in the show notes. And whether you book or not, here's what I want you to take away with you today. Your body has been giving you data your whole life, before your brain caught up, before you had any evidence, before anyone else saw it. You felt it in the meeting that went sideways, in the relationship that looked perfect on paper, in that opportunity that everyone said was amazing, but made your stomach drop. You knew. And most of the time, you probably overrode it. You don't need more data. You don't need another opinion. You don't need permission. What's really helpful is for you to be able to trust the signal that you've been ignoring. And now you have 3 questions to help you do just that. So next week, you know that feeling when everything hits at once? When every single thing feels like it needs to happen yesterday? Yeah, we're talking about that, because most of what feels urgent isn't. And the thing that actually matters, it's probably the one that you've been putting off. That's next week, and you're going to want to tune in. So until then, trust your intuition, take aligned action, and keep leading with soul.